Coming up on Citrus TV News Live at 6, World Water Week kicked off this afternoon at Syracuse University.
Renovations are on the way for Shopping Town Mall, but some store owners worry if that's the right thing for their businesses. Citrus TV reporter Cheyenne Devon has the full story.
A former member of the U.S. Air Force was in federal court today facing terrorism charges. Prosecutors say he was trying to join and fight with ISIS.
And new research finds evidence that breastfeeding your children can lead to a higher IQ. Citrus TV News starts right now. The Citrus TV News live at 6 for Wednesday, March 18th. I'm Alex Resnick.
And I'm Gerhard. It was less than 2 weeks ago when the NCAA dropped its bombshell report detailing infractions and issuing major sanctions against SU's athletic programs. Just a few hours ago, the university issued its response, and major changes are coming to SU athletics and the men's basketball team. That's our top story tonight. Earlier today, Chancellor Kent Syverud announced the university's plans going forward in the wake of the NCAA report. There's been a lot of questions circulating around the future of the men's basketball program and SU's athletic director, Daryl Gross.
Syverud made his announcement today and gave some answers. Daryl Gross is out as athletic director effective immediately, and Syverud announced head coach Jim Boeheim expects to retire in 3 years. Citrus TV sports reporter Christian de Guzman is here to go over all the implications. Christian?
Thanks, Alex. Well, Syracuse University has finally decided who will have to take the fall for the multiple NCAA violations the men's basketball team committed over the past decade. In his email to the university body, Syverud announced that Daryl Gross has stepped down as director of athletics. This ends Gross's 10-year tenure as the athletic director at Syracuse University. In the email, Syverud said, quote, "Dr. Gross cares deeply about our university, our student athletes, and the athletics department. Under his leadership, Syracuse athletics has had strong and broad success. He has led the university into the ACC, a stellar conference renowned for both its athletics competition and academic success. Overall, under his leadership, thousands of student athletes have succeeded in competition, in the classroom, and in the world as proud Syracuse alumni." Gross will stay with the university as a special assistant to Chancellor Syverud and as a professor in the Falk School. Syracuse also announced in his email that head coach Jim Boeheim intends to retire in just 3 years. The Hall of Fame coach has been at SU since 1962. Syverud said the university will continue to support Boeheim should he decide to appeal the penalties applied to him. In Syverud's statement, he said, quote, "Coach Jim Boeheim has been a mainstay at Syracuse University for more than 1/3 of our entire 144-year history. He enrolled as a student here in 1962 and has never left. Among the many roles he has held at Syracuse are student athlete, graduate assistant, teacher, assistant coach, head coach, community stalwart, philanthropist, U.S. Olympian coach, and Hall of Fame member. In these roles, he has been the embodiment of Orange pride." This is currently the biggest story on the Syracuse campus, and Citrus TV went to the Shine Student Center to see what students had to think of these decisions.
It's not entirely unexpected, however, given the series of events that have happened recently, I hope he's able to get his reputation back in the coming 3 years, because that's really important to him and what he's meant to this university and this city in general.
Wow, so Christian, so much news coming out all at once. Do you think this is better for the university that we're not in the NCAA tournament?
I really think it is, especially this year, since we have such a strong recruiting class coming in next year with 4 probably great guys that we can, take us to potentially a championship next year. But obviously this year we probably would have been in the NIT, not doing very well as total. So I think this year was great. It was a great decision by the university as a general, just to not participate in the tournament.
So what do you think the rest of the academic year at least will be looking like for the team?
Well, for the team, I think they're going to put a lot more attention to getting academics right and academics done correctly. I think not just for the men's basketball team, but for every other athletics team, just to make sure that we don't see any more NCAA regulations.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Christian.
Thank you. Boeheim will hold a press conference tomorrow morning at 10 to address these announcements. You can follow Citrus TV Sports on Twitter for updates or tune in right here to OTN, where we'll be broadcasting the conference live.
We'll have more coverage of all these announcements, including SU's decision to appeal certain portions of the NCAA report later on in sports. Weather last weekend, Monica Hammer has a quick look at your weather. Monica, what's it look like now?
Temperatures were in the 20s today and felt a little colder than that thanks to winds at 15 miles per hour. The weather varied throughout the course of the day, and we did see some snow flurries as well as the sun peeking out throughout those clouds. Currently it is 25 degrees outside and overcast, and as we head into tonight we will be seeing those temperatures drop a little bit. Taking a look at the quad cam, we can see that most of the snow is gone and we're finally starting to see some green after that cold winter. Stay tuned for the full weather forecast later in the show, where I'll tell you what we're looking at for the rest of the week.
Syracuse's UNICEF chapter kicked off World Water Week in Shine today. They hosted a spin the wheel contest today, and events included panels, trivia, and fundraisers, and those will continue throughout next Thursday. One of the event's organizers said that UNICEF helps to provide water to people around the world.
Water injustice around the world, and so a part of UNICEF is that if you donate $1, it can provide 40 days of clean drinking water for a child that doesn't previously have access to it. So that's what we're trying to do.
The SU Lecture Series continues tonight at Hendricks Chapel with the president of the WNBA. Laurel Ritchie is going to speak at 7:30 tonight in a lecture titled Showing the World What's Possible. Before joining the WNBA, where some of her responsibilities included marketing, branding, and PR, Ritchie was Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer for Girl Scouts. Ritchie was most recently named one of the most influential African Americans in sports by Black Enterprise.
Small business located inside of Shoppingtown Mall in DeWitt could be displaced due to the new proposed remodeling.
CitrusTV News reporter Cheyenne Devon takes us to the mall to investigate how these tenants could be impacted.
The new owner of Shoppingtown Mall is currently making plans to completely remodel the space. However, some people are skeptical about the future design.
I'm not really sure it's going to work well in Syracuse, given the February that we just had, the coldest February in history.
Moonbeam Capital Investments spoke with DeWitt town officials and decided to demolish the Sears side of the mall and turn it into an open-air shopping center. This drastic redesign could have a great impact on the small business owners currently operating in this space.
If I'm not moved, my indoor part of the business would be out of business until I find a new location.
There have been rumors of relocating businesses displaced by the remodeling. However, the owners have not been very clear with the tenants.
The only thing they've done was put a letter under our door Thursday, letting them know there was a meeting at Town of DeWitt to go over everything, and if we want to go to that, we could go there, which most of us couldn't because we had to work.
Home Run Softball would be one of many small businesses in this wing of the mall to be affected by the proposed remodeling. However, some business owners believe that the changes are nothing personal, just business.
It's just a business decision that Moonbeam Capital is making, and while it may be unpopular for some of the local small businesses,
many small business owners are still unsure of the future plans for Shoppingtown Mall, but hope to remain tenants despite the changes. For CitrusTV News, this is Cheyenne Devon.
Thanks, Cheyenne. Moonbeam Capital currently does not have an estimate of the total cost of the project, but is planning to seek government assistance. And SU School of Education finally has a new dean. Joanna Masingala has been teaching at Syracuse since 1992, and she's been serving as interim dean of the school for more than a year. Syracuse University Provost Liz Liddy made the announcement yesterday. Masingala has collected many honors throughout her years here, and Chancellor Kent Severud spoke of her as an award-winning and collaborative teacher and the right person to lead the School of Education. And coming up next on CitrusTV News, a suspect has been arrested following a shooting spree in Arizona.
And Israelis voted yesterday to decide who would take control over their new government. That story and more when CitrusTV comes back.
Psst, they're coming. Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does. And like that, you're a job creator.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
The suspect in an Arizona shooting earlier today is now in custody. 5 were injured and 1 is dead after shots were fired. Detectives say 3 people were shot at a motel across the street from the East Valley Institute of Technology, where a student was also shot. The suspect then hijacked a car, shot a man in a home invasion and another in the apartment building next door. And a former member of the U.S. Air Force is facing charges of terrorism after being accused of attempting to join ISIS. Tyrod Pugh pleaded not guilty in a Brooklyn federal court earlier today. Prosecutors say Pugh was working in Kuwait before hopping on a plane headed from Egypt into Turkey. The indictment accuses Pugh of planning the trip in order to cross the Turkish border and join ISIS fighters. Turkey refused to let him into the country, and Egyptian officials deported him to the U.S., where he was arrested. And now, days after being arrested, HBO star Robert Durst will be moved into a mental health facility at prison. The relocation was due to a small medical condition. Durst is being investigated after a 6-part series on HBO called The Jinx. Durst was taken into custody the day before the finale when he said a possible confession on the show. Durst is being investigated into the disappearance of a teenage girl 20 years ago, as well as the disappearance of his wife in 1982. And the Presbyterian Church will begin to recognize same-sex marriages this June. The church has almost 2 million members and first offered support for gay marriage last year. On Tuesday, a majority of the church's districts approved a measure that redefines marriage as, quote, a commitment between 2 people. This is the largest Protestant group to recognize gay marriage, and the change allows same-sex weddings in every congregation.
Well, the results are in for the Israeli Prime Minister election, and Benjamin Netanyahu will be returning to power for a 4th term. This despite the fact that for weeks Netanyahu's Likud party had trailed in opinion polls to the Zionist Union Alliance following the election. The Prime Minister said, quote, "I am proud for the people of Israel that in the moment of truth knew to make the right decision and to choose the real material things over immaterial things," end quote. Netanyahu's first step in his new term is to form a new government, a process that is expected to start next Sunday, March 22nd. And moving from the Middle East to Eastern Asia, Japanese police are investigating phone calls that contain death threats aimed at U.S. Ambassador Caroline Kennedy and U.S. Consul General Alfred Magleby. Japanese media reports that the threats came last month from a caller who spoke English, and the police were looking into the case on suspicion of blackmailing. Kennedy, the daughter of John F. Kennedy, is said to be a high-profile figure in Japan. At this time, both Tokyo police and the embassy have declined to comment on the investigation. Anti-austerity protests in Frankfurt turned violent today. Thousands of people turned out to the new protest, the opening of the new headquarters of the European Central Bank. The movement publicly condemns the austerity measures imposed on Greece and is made up of more than 90 groups from across Europe. Police say at least 84 officers were injured when protesters attacked them with rocks and pepper spray. At least 500 protesters were detained for questioning.
Let's take it over to weather anchor Monica Hammer with our weather. Monica?
It is currently 25 degrees outside with a low of 20. With winds at around 15 miles per hour, it does feel a little bit colder than that, more like 13 degrees. Skies are currently cloudy, and we are still getting some of those snow flurries that have been on and off throughout the day. If we take a look at temperatures across the northeast, Syracuse is in the high 20s, a little chillier than the temperatures earlier this week. Temperatures more to the south are in the 40s, and then in the northeast they are experiencing the low 20s and even temperatures in the teens. Taking a look at the current surface map, we won't be seeing anything too worrisome headed our way, with no cold fronts or storms in the Syracuse area. Tonight, temperatures will drop to around 16 degrees, but wind speeds will also drop to around 4 miles per hour. We should be expecting mostly cloudy skies for the remainder of the evening. Tomorrow, we are looking at sunny skies with temperatures increasing to around 33 degrees. Winds will be around 8 miles per hour, and we are looking at a low of 16, so stay warm even though the sun will be out. Looking at the precipitation forecast, Syracuse will most likely be seeing rain in the next 48 hours, but with those borderline temperatures, that rain could easily turn into snow flurries, much like we saw today. Not much precipitation though, just around an inch of rain or snow. There are no severe weather alerts in the area, but there are several wind advisories in effect along the coast. And finally, taking a look at our 5-day forecast, we will be seeing some sun tomorrow, but throughout the remainder of the week, we are looking at more precipitation. Temperatures will hit the 40s on Saturday, but there is an 80% chance of rain. Friday and Sunday, we could be looking at some more snow with temperatures dropping to 24 degrees. Monday, we will see the sun come out again, and alongside that, an increase in temperature that will continue the following week.
Thanks, Monica. Coming up, a major food company announced a recall that could have you emptying out the pantry.
And we may have a solution if you're not a morning person. Citrus TV News will be right back.
So we're gonna put some ants in their pants. Aww.
Kids will spend 22 minutes watching us, the super duper party troopers, sing about ants in their pants.
Isn't that funny? Ants in their pants, they got ants in their pants, they got ants in their pants.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
New research shows breastfeeding your baby could give him a higher IQ later on down the road. The Brazilian study traced nearly 3,500 babies and finds those that were breastfed longer scored higher on intelligence tests as adults.
Experts encourage mothers to breastfeed children for at least 6 months and say this research further supports that advice.
And now if you're having trouble sleeping in the mornings before class or work and really need to get an extra boost to start the day, there may be a solution for that. It's called Daybreakers, and all you have to do is show up with your dancing shoes.
Daybreakers started out in New York City and has since developed into a worldwide movement. One of the event's organizers said that it's an opportunity for those that want to wake up early to bring energy to a space and then bring it back to their work for a full mind, body, and soul experience. Kraft is recalling 6.5 million boxes of macaroni and cheese after customers found pieces of metal in their food. Luckily, no injuries have been reported so far. If you got some Kraft macaroni and cheese in the pantry, here are some things to look out for. The recalled boxes have best if used dates between September 18th and October 11th, 2015. They're also marked with the code C2. You can return those boxes to the grocery store for a refund.
Today, the Federal Reserve moved closer to the first rate hike since 2006. They removed the word patient, which indicates that they are willing to hike the rates in the next few weeks to months. This announcement follows the 2-day Federal Open Market Committee meeting in Washington. According to a statement, the Fed's Policy Setting Committee said again that job market conditions had improved. Officials are split over whether the hike will come in June or September.
Coming up in sports, students react to the retirement of Jim Boeheim and the resignation of Daryl Gross. Also break down the rest of the information stating Chancellor Syverud's email. CitrusTV News at 6 will be right back.
Searching for help with dachshund breeding.
No. Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What? I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
The biggest news on campus is Jim Boeheim retiring in 3 years and Daryl Gross stepping down as athletic director. Earlier today, Gross spoke to ESPN Radio Syracuse about his resignation.
Hard at it. Did you compete at it at the highest level you can push yourself? Did you continuously try to do the right thing, regardless of whether it's popular or not? And that's how I look at it. And I can answer yes to all those questions, and I can feel really good going to sleep. And I'm just so looking forward to this opportunity, and really looking forward to having a chance to engage in the teaching area as well, but also having a chance to be part of be a vice president at this great university and special assistant to the chancellor as we try to do things on a macro level for the institution. So there's great opportunity there, gentlemen, and I'm very appreciative.
The stories of Boeheim and Gross were not the only things announced today. Chancellor Syverud also announced that Pete Sala, the managing director of the Carrier Dome, will serve as interim athletics director. A small committee has also been created by Syverud in order to appoint a permanent athletic director. Finally, Syverud announced that Syracuse will appeal some of the NCAA sanctions that were handed down on March 6. Specifically, the university will appeal all the vacations of wins and the reduction of the men's basketball scholarships. Syverud said the university does not agree with all of the conclusions reached by the Committee on Infractions and does not agree that the full set of penalties imposed by the committee are appropriate or equitable. Head coach Jim Boeheim has not yet appealed his 9-game ACC suspension, but Syverud has said that Boeheim will have the university's full support.
Dress it
And with that reaction, the Syracuse basketball team is headed to the NCAA tournament. Well, it's the women's. On Monday, the NCAA revealed that the Syracuse women's basketball team would be playing in its third straight NCAA tournament as an 8th seed in the Greensboro region. Syracuse will play 9th seeded Nebraska on Friday in Columbia, South Carolina. This will be the first ever meeting between the two teams. Should the Orange win, their most likely opponent in the next round will be 1 seed South Carolina, who is 30-2 on the year. Syracuse has played South Carolina earlier this year, losing barely by the score 67-63. And now we move to the Dome, where Syracuse took on Cornell last night. And there's Kayla Traynor ready to play a great game. And Howie Majora here scores on the keeper to start a 6-0 run. It was a great first half shooting for the Syracuse Orange. There's Kayla Traynor again getting a goal, making it 6-1 Orange. And then finally, Gabby Janquith would get a goal here to cap off the Syracuse 6-0 run. It's 9-1 at this point and 9-3 Syracuse at the half. But then the shooting for the Orange would stop, and Taylor Reed for Cornell would get the goals. It's Syracuse 12, Cornell 4. And this would be the start of a 4-0 run for Syracuse, capped off by this Shelby McNeil goal with 4:53 left in the second half. But then Gabby Janquith would put the nail in the coffin with this goal, making it 14-7. Syracuse would win 14-8. And now they play Northwestern next Sunday.
Well, Christian, obviously a lot going on with the athletic department. Of course, a huge blow for the basketball team. However, how do the other athletes feel about Darryl Gross's resignation?
I think they feel like, it's just another step that we have to take as a university to just prepare from these obviously very blatantly hard sanctions that the NCAA put down. And, Darryl Gross has been doing very well for the NCAA and Syracuse. Unfortunately, it's just another step that we have to take. Right.
And for the Lady Orange basketball team, that's great. They got the 8th seed. How are they expected to do in the tourney?
Well, I think that they will beat Nebraska on Friday, but then we have to come up against South Carolina, who's been red hot, only 2 losses on the season. And I don't think they get past South Carolina, so that's unfortunately around a 32 exit for the women. And
Christian, we know it's early, but men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse, they're both on a roll. They're both cruising. How do you think they'll fare out for this season?
I think women's lacrosse has a great chance to get to the Final Four, especially on the back of Kayla Traynor. I don't think they'll actually win the championship, but I think the men's lacrosse team will win the national championship. Wow. That 3-headed attack of Rice, Donahue, and Stotts is really good to carry them, and the midfield has come alive as of late with Nikki Galasco, just tearing apart the defenses of other teams.
Absolutely. Thanks, Christian.
Great to hear.
Thanks.
And when Citrus TV returns, Monica Hammer will take one final look at tomorrow's weather.
Oh, you got it. Since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Wake the sun, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come. Tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
Welcome back. Now let's take one final look at tomorrow's weather with Citrus TV's Monica Hammer.
Tomorrow the sun will be shining, but it will still be cold in Syracuse. Temperatures will be in the 30s, so make sure to still grab that jacket despite the sun being out. Grab those sunglasses as well because you'll definitely need them. Later in the week we will be looking at some snow and rain, so definitely enjoy the sun while it lasts. Temperatures will continue to fluctuate over the next couple of days, so make sure to dress appropriately to avoid getting sick.
Thanks, Monica. That's all the time we have for tonight. Thanks for tuning in to Citrus TV. I'm Will Gerhard.
And make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up to date on breaking news. I'm Alex Resnick. Have a great night.